it was mines all over, and there you go, look. Tesla Trooper trying his best, and they just got incinerated.
Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder. It's Dvoid here. I've got a 1v1 multiplayer game, and we're on Shadowfiend II. This is my first game of the day, and I joined this player's game. They were waiting for a 1v1, so I joined for my first game. Now, I've seen this map used recently, and players that favour a defensive playstyle have been using this map. In fact, I have made a post or two featuring a heavily defensive playstyle on this map. You know, recently I've featured that myself. So that's what I assumed was coming, a defensive playstyle. My opponent hasn't even got a barracks. They've gone for a kennel, then a refinery. So I'm at the moment escorting the engineer. Now my opponent's using a dog to hunt the engineer. So we'll see what happens there. And he's trying to head off the engineer going for this oil derrick, whereas I'm starting with the most contestable oil derrick in the centre. Yeah, there's my opponent. They've got the refinery and they're going for a war factory before a barracks, and the dog's going to run into trouble. Oh, look, it got away. It took a hit, turned away, and just managed to avoid a tiny bit of damage. What's going to happen here? It spotted my troops, no doubt, but there's nothing it can do. He's just watching, perhaps waiting for the engineer to move back, but I'm escorting him. And I'm guarding this oil derrick. My opponent, they're building a flak truck. So I've got one oil derrick. And there we go, I'm heading towards the second, and I'm guarding a third. And my opponent's got a flak truck now. And they do have a good view range. It's the best view range for the Soviet units at, you know, basic tech level. The APC doesn't have as good view range. Now, I've destroyed the dog, sadly I had to do it. But I've secured this oil derrick. And my opponent is using the flak truck to attack my troops here, but even though they're only riflemen, a flak truck is fair game. You know, rifles do plenty of damage to a flak truck if they can get within range. In this case, I couldn't, but I just need to let it drive into view range of the oil derrick, and then I can attack it. And you see it shooting at my troops. I can't do anything because I can't see it. But now I've got reinforcements, I can't just stand there and let it chip away. But I keep moving forward and back, forward and back. I don't want a rocket soldier to go first. And there's my war factory. I'll soon have my own scout vehicle. And look, you know, I'm getting a couple of hits, but he's chipping away at my infantry. Yeah. And there's my engineer. It looks like the APC is meeting the engineer. But he's still chipping away at my troops. I'm backing away, so if it moves up to my view range, I'll get some hits on it. And there we go, I'm moving the APC, so I got rid of it. And the engineer is escorted inside the APC. But I'm using Russia, my opponent's using Ukraine for this one. It's Shadowfiend II map, like I say, I've seen people use this a few times recently. So I had a feeling that I was up for a defensive playstyle against me. Ah, right, we had a couple of spectators and it slowed the game. We got a lag. There you go, I'm securing this oil derrick. My opponent's got an engineer. Hurry up about it. I'm letting him capture it. So you get 100 credits the moment you capture it, and it starts to count down. So 13 seconds after that, you get another 100 credits. So he'll get some, because it takes 13 seconds. There you go. So he's got another, but I think I will get the capture before my opponent gets another tick of cash. Because I started to capture, And that's 13 seconds, and that's the same time between ticks. So there you go, there's my, and now my countdown of 13. There was 2 though, that was 100 for capturing it, and then a moment later, it was due for another 13-second countdown. Another 13-second payoff. So that's very interesting that. You get 1 for capturing it straight away, and 1 every 13 seconds, whoever it belongs to. So if your opponent hangs on to it and that 13 seconds ticks by just before you capture it, they get it. And then when you capture it, you'll get 100. And like say roughly 12 seconds later, which would have been 13 seconds after the last tick of 100 credits, you get the next counter, the next 100 credits awarded to you. So it's interesting that I saw 100, it earned 100 twice very quickly, and that was because I captured it and get the 100, and then the 13-second counter came straight after it. Very interesting. So you get 100 awarded the moment you capture it, regardless of the countdown. And there's my opponent sent a heavy tank off on its own to look for this oil derrick. And it looks like it might even be given an attack command. Why is it? Oh, he's destroying it. Well, fair enough, if he doesn't want to capture it, why not? But I've got 3 oil derricks here, so if my opponent is going for a defensive play style, I was trying to prepare for it and keep the earnings and stuff. But what I should have done was secure this. I've got 4 oil derricks, and my opponent, let's just disable... Oh no, they didn't destroy it. They're moving forward with their tank, and they're attacking this one, which does belong to me. But I'm moving this way, and this is my opponent's natural expansion, their first one, and look, they've laid a nice chunk of mines there. So I've sent my APC to check whether my opponent's expanded, and they've placed a forward radar dome, which will give you a nice amount of view range, look. Very nice. But I've placed this flame tower here, and it's given me a nice little chunk of view range myself. But my opponent's about to finish that oil derrick off. I've sent a few units, look, but I hadn't even got the rocket soldier I've trained on the way yet, so I'm going to lose that. And let's have a look at the army values. We're at 7 minutes exactly. 14,000 to my opponent, 15,000 to me. And my opponent's got that same heavy tank. It's destroyed an oil derrick. Now it's moving towards an expansion, and I'm placing flame towers. But when the heavy tanks keep moving, flame tower attacks won't do much. They might do a little bit of splash damage, but they'll do very little damage. But if the heavy tank stops still within range of the flame tower, it'll do nice damage to heavy targets. And look, there's lost the APC to mines. I've destroyed the mine layer. And there's a chunk of troops. Damage to a tank. More troops. More troops. That looked like another heavy tank gone, another heavy tank gone, and I've fallen back after clearing the mines, but my opponent is responding here. And they've got aircraft telling them where I am, so they can keep an eye out with their aeroplanes and respond with their units wherever they need them. But I've got an eco-raid here, look. So I'm hunting for their ore trucks, waiting for them to come into range. I'm not giving too much away, and there you go, they've caught out my units, because they knew where I was. They knew where I am because of their aircraft showing them everything. I should have pressed stop and at least shot that thing down. If you have rocket soldiers and there's an enemy aircraft within range of your rocket soldiers, you press S for the stop command and they'll immediately fire at any air units in range. But the thing is, what's important is any anti-aircraft units or base defences or anything, you have to give them extra view range with other assets. Say if you have, say, a pillbox with a rocket soldier in, or an anti-aircraft gun with the Allies, or something like that, they can't shoot. They can shoot further than they can see. So an enemy air unit needs to be revealed by other units ahead of them, then they'll get to fire at their full range. Now I've destroyed an ore truck, 1 or 2 perhaps, no, 1 by the looks of it, but I've lost these tanks. But they've drawn my opponent's attention, and I'm trying to look to see if they've expanded here, and I found nothing there. I did just save that heavy tank, look. But I know I've had to produce anti-aircraft units. I've got flak trucks, and here's some infantry, look. And they need the stop command pressing. Let's see if I manage it. No. No, they're still in attack move, which means they won't fire as well. And there's only 1 rocket soldier there. I should press the stop command, at least get a missile off. And here's my flak trucks coming to shoot down those planes. And I've got a veteran flak truck. There's my engineer. I'm going for this oil derrick, which I've secured with a nice little chunk of infantry. Well, not a chunk, a little squad section of infantry. And my opponent's at 26,000 army value, I'm at 21,000 army value, and there's the spy plane. It's revealed my position completely. So my opponent knows what I've got. They can just, and they've got V2s. And now I've got my own aircraft, and I'm trying to call in reinforcements. And I'm trying to use this oil derrick as just a bit of an advantage. I need to get that repaired, look. Just a bit of view range advantage, and my opponent's caught me out quite nicely. I can't fight that massive horde of infantry, look. My tanks need to have been... I'm trying to get them away. And look, those flamethrowers are doing lovely work. And I'm getting view range from the flak trucks, but I'm just not doing effective work. And we have my V2. I don't know if I did any damage with it. But there's my first V2, and I'm using my Yak attack plane for view range, and I've got a few units left, but my opponent's at 27,000, I'm at 15,000. So they're just gaining in strength. And here we are, look, they've got their aircraft, they're targeting my V2s, but I've shot them down. I've got a couple of flak trucks. There's a nuclear truck, a demo truck. So it's a little truck with a nuclear bomb in the back. And they caught me out. I didn't see it coming. There's another aircraft. I should be using it for guarding here. But I'm using the view range of the Yaks to snipe with my V2s. And I've had to fall back. And I've got 4 flak trucks by the looks of it. I'm trying to gather my units. But my opponent's at 26,000 army value. I've got 16,000. I'm in trouble. But you see, I'm spotting them chipping away. See how they like a little bit of flak truck chipping? And here you go, look, firing the missiles from the V2s and spotting with the Yaks. That's done some nice damage. But I need to get these guys away when my enemy attacks them. And keep hit and run, hit and run. But this area, look, there's a nuke truck, a demo truck. Bang. Destroyed my refinery and destroyed an ore truck. But I've managed to get my opponent down to 22,000 army value while I'm at 20 now, 20,000, 21. And my opponent's at 23, so I have recovered slightly, but my opponent's laying mines at my expansion. And they haven't got very many tanks and they're out of position. But look, I'm trying my best. I've got a few tanks myself. And here's my missiles coming into effect. They were a waste of 2 missiles, and I can see there's no tanks here, so I decided to try and strafe the enemy. They did very little, so I'm getting the planes away, and here's parabombs, because they're using Ukraine, which means those 3 trails of bombs, that's the old version. Now it's a single bomber, because as you can see, those 3 bombers can smash an army and turn an entire game around. So that's why it's different now. It's not the same anymore. But I still have to keep trying and fighting, and now I'm on the defensive, and I've fallen back behind my base defences, look, and this is a decent army because they're all veterans, but here's some units to head them off, and these are to slow them down. I've got repairs underway while I move my V2s in behind, and I'm worried about the construction yard now, but look, they're mining my ore patch. I'm firing V2s at the enemy. I have to watch where I fire because I'll be destroying my own structures if they land next to them. There's heavy splash damage from V2s, so you just have to keep your shots at a certain distance away from the enemy. But now I've got them down to 12,000. There's another nuke truck, and I'm at 11,000. So I've managed to get them back down, you know, in army value. So we're at 13 each, but now they've just shot up to 15. And there you go, there's a nuke truck, and I got them with riflemen because I saw it and destroyed it while it was messing around in open ground. So I'm at 14,000, 15, my opponent's at 13,000 army value, and 3 aircraft luck. But this is bad because I have no flak trucks here. Very bad, and that has let me down. I've lost my 2 V2s. And I've got Tesla troopers now. If I just, there you see, I'm shooting down most of these aircraft. But I've got Tesla troopers. If I just had flak trucks, I would now have V2s to destroy these. So instead, I'm falling back, and I'm on the defensive. And my expansion has been mined, but I haven't even set up my refinery here. You know, I've not been doing it properly, and I've taken damage from very small groups of enemy units. Not good, and I've allowed them to take this expansion, which rightfully belongs to me, although I've taken theirs, but I'm not mining from it anymore. And I'm trying to shoot mines, but the shift commands didn't work. There's mines all over, and there you go, look. Tesla Trooper trying his best, and they just got incinerated. That's not good, but now the mammoth tanks are starting to pile up, and my opponent's got 16,000 army value. This will be for, is it paratroopers? Look, I've dropped paratroopers to hunt for the enemy, and he's pulled his ore truck straight out. Excellent. Straight out of danger. But I've had to fall back again. I've got my aircraft, the Tesla coil's working, and my opponent's right to fall back. My army is equal to this one in defence. He hasn't got artillery, and my heavy tanks can more than deal with these two mammoths. But that still belongs to me, so I can see my opponent. I'm hoping to attack, and I've got a flak truck again. It's essential. If your opponent has air units, you have to have flak trucks, and it helps defend your V2s when you finally get them. When you get them rebuilt. But look, my flak truck, any enemy air units over my units, the flak truck at the back will kill them. And we're at 12,000 army value each. It's a good struggle, but I'm obviously not causing damage, and my opponent, with 2 rocket soldiers, is destroying one of my war factories. It's a very poor show, and I'm getting this mined. I need a mine layer of my own, and there's no reason why I haven't already got one, and this is not being mined. But I have captured this oil derrick, and now I've got an iron curtain. My opponent has as well. So let's see, support powers. Mine's close to being ready. And my opponent's at 15,000, 16,000 army value. I'm at 12,000, and here we are. I'm trying to see what's going on, look. And the view range of these yaks is excellent, and I passed over the enemy, he got a shot off, but then I thought, well, why not just kill the rocket soldier? There's now nothing they can do then. But here you go, look, my opponent's spotting to see what's going on. Get away, leg it. Chip away at a few troops, look. And get these planes dealt with. There's one. Yeah, nice, he saved his plane. But I've allowed the enemy's iron curtain to count down as well. So mine, you see, I'm gathering my units into a pattern of 5, so that when I use the iron curtain, look, 5 of them are invulnerable, and my opponent has also got an iron curtain, and I didn't know. So those 2 mammoth tanks are now invulnerable, and there's my 2 V2s. I should have moved them straight back, but these were at least doing damage and holding his infantry up. I should have got everything else out of there, run away, and let the mammoth tanks try and chase, and use these flak trucks just to hold up the enemy. And there's my yak. And I've lost my V2s, look. And I've won that engagement, but I've lost my precious V2s. And here's the parabombs from my enemy. See him moving in, but when you're playing, you don't see that warning. You don't get any warning. So you have to watch out for it. And look, there you go. I've had to try and fall back. Now my opponent has still got a mammoth tank and a few units there. So that's just really badly gone badly for me. And they still have these mines set up. So they've completely secured this area with no units. A single vehicle has secured this section of the map. They haven't even got riflemen to protect it. They don't, and that shut me down. So I should immediately have built a mine layer. It's caused me problems, and look here, it's no good. Now I'm training thieves because I need to do something, and I am okay with, and thieves I know how to handle. But I was just getting Tesla troops, and that engagement where I didn't have flak trucks, I should have had flak trucks to shoot those planes, and then the V2s could have turned that engagement. It's so difficult, but here you go, I'm trying to make the best defence I can, and I'm moving these thieves away. There's my Tesla coils working, and I'm building APCs, look. But I'm getting them out of the combat, there's 2 of them, and they're not fighting, I'm in low power. And my opponent I'm escaping with my MCV, but my opponent has overrun my expansion. That's my best supply of ore that I haven't even been mining, and they've got it. And I'm losing ore trucks. There's one being hit by a Tesla coil base push. I'm in low power, but I've shut that down. And here we are. There's my 2 APCs. And there's my aircraft. I'm scouting, checking out what's going on. One yak can't do anything damage-wise, but there you go, they're destroying my iron curtain and my radar dome. These units are being destroyed by a Tesla coil, but there's my 2 APCs, and you see there's the iron curtain gone. And I'm scouting over here and looking to see, because my opponent's got 9 grand, I've got almost 5. But I saw the Tesla coil parked. I'm using these 2 APCs as cover, and then the 3 thieves infiltrate all at once, just give it to him. So now I've got 12 grand and my opponent's got less than a grand. Yes, they've overrun this, but... and I'm trying my best just to fight these off, but those missiles will kill loads of troops. There's nothing, I can't stop them. That's a shame, but at least I took all their cash. There's my units. I'm trying to reposition and make a stand elsewhere, because I've got the money to do it, but my opponent's army value is 28,000 and I've got 2,500 roughly. So yeah, I've lost, you know, this is all lost. Just as my ore was regrowing. I've got this, I've got two MCVs. But, yeah, you know, what can I do? I've got an engineer as well. But this being mined shut down the options there. You know, I couldn't even get a chokehold in effect. But there's that, I think, there you go, it's just getting packed up and escaping. These units are trying to escape, but there's a Tesla coil there, we'll kill them all. It's, you know, I've been shut down. My opponent is complete, and there, look, watch these landmines. My infantry are trying to make their way through. One of them, two rocket soldiers made it, but that's not encouraging me to send an engineer behind them, is it? You know, it's like, oh... and there's the barracks that was near here, so that means I've turned this, I've got to turn away with this, because even when I did get past, I've discovered that there's, you know, 2 Tesla coils and a flame tower. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that shut me down, it shut me down here, and what time I've bought has got me nothing, because I haven't, there's my other MCV, but I haven't built anything. I'm trying to replace a barracks now, probably. Just such a shame. And I've got 8 grand and 2 MCVs, an engineer. It's really, it's a shame to lose with those assets. But my opponent did so well. I've got to give it to him and hand it to him, because it was an excellent demonstration of defensive tactics and completely shut me down. I should have shown a bit more aggression, but in a bit more of a more efficient way myself, you know, and a bit more early aggression perhaps. I haven't got back into using my grenadier drops like I used to, but I think in, I'm not sure, I did in one of my recent games, not this one, but in a recent game I made a grenadier drop, and I'm pretty sure I didn't even use it in that game. So, you know, but my opponent's everywhere, and here's my expansion. I've got some units, base defense, some power, and there you go, I'm mining, but I'm about to lose that ore truck, the only ore truck I had. There's my engineer, and I'm okay for power, and here's another power drop, look, 3 bombers dropping 3 rows of bombs, and it just shut, that's my entire army gone. And there's his power drop. Excellent, you know, you see, and that's what they've changed it. He destroyed them with his own mine. Oh no, look, the mines didn't kill them. That's strange, that effect. Very strange. It was like explosions in a row. And now my MCV's moving out, and it runs straight into a mammoth division. Heavy tank division of mammoths. Unlucky. Unlucky, alright. Well, I've still got 1, but my cash has run out, and I've done nothing of value with it. So, there you go. I got shut down a while ago, but my corpse is still twitching. You know, I've still got 2 oil derricks as well, don't forget. So, you know, I didn't do that badly. But just need more of this practice, more long game practice, and more skill and more efficiency. That's what I need. Don't let your opponent build up these mammoth hordes and stuff. But I did hope that the Iron Curtain would turn it around for me. My opponent used it at the same moment. Not good at all. But there's the end of the game. I've called it. It's over. So I'll go through the graphs and charts for you, and I'm going to actually add another replay to this. But there's the army graph, starting from about 5 minutes there, but my opponent was ahead in that big arc there, look. But they've taken some losses, as well as I have as well. And then we've both, I've stayed at a sort of stable level, so combat was still going on, but my opponent did as well, although they had slightly more. in unit value. But after 18 minutes, their army just took off, and mine took a savage beating. So there you go. That's how it went. And here's the earnings graph. Look at that all over the place. That may well be my infiltrations. And that's why I've got a nice bit of cash after it, because I couldn't really spend a lot of it. It wasn't until the end that I started to spend it. But there you go. There's the earnings graph. Look, very interesting. My opponent did very well. But that's my infiltration, sorry. And that's my opponent. A very stable, solid economy at the end. And that must be my infiltrations. Very nice. Took me up to about nearly 11 grand. There's my opponent's finishing army. They've actually got a couple of MiGs, look. Very nice. They're very good units. They're very good for destroying ore trucks. I think one will destroy an ore truck. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. And it'll pass in... when you order them MiGs to attack a target, you order them to attack and they'll release their missiles at a good distance from the target. Say, like here. And as soon as they release their missiles, order them backwards straight away, and that way they won't pass over their target and get hit by anti-aircraft fire. So order them back straight away and repeat the same thing with their second salvo. As soon as they release it, order them backwards, and then come in from the same angle or the safest angle, and do it again for the third salvo, and send them to reload. And send them to reload by a route that doesn't show the enemy which direction your airfields are in. Because you'll have a lot of activity with MiGs, and if they're constantly going for the nearest airfield, you'll be pointing to the enemy where that is. And they can put a group of 5 flak trucks in between a good target and your airfields, ready to wait for you after an attack when your MiGs have got no missiles left, or Yaks or whatever. But there you go, they've got 2 MiGs, they've got a Yak attack plane, 12 Mammoth tanks, very nice. A Mammoth tank division, very nice. They've still got a heavy tank left and plenty of troops. Combat chart, my opponent's army is 52,000 army value. They didn't lose any structures. I lost 39 structures. That's a beating for you. My opponent killed 421 units. I killed 288 units. My opponent destroyed 130,000 credits worth of my assets. I destroyed 80,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. Their Iron Curtains ready to use, support powers. They've got parabombs counting down, paratroopers and spy plane. And the parabombs did help them. It wiped out my army a couple of times. Not a big army, but, you know, it helped. So that's why they've changed that now. So it's not a game changer. You know, it's just a single bomber that releases a single stream of bombs. It's a decent power still, a decent ability. You get it as soon as you get an airfield, but it's not the same as that. It's not 3 bombers levelling the place. So there's support powers, plenty of them in effect with the Iron Curtain. Production, yeah, advanced power plants, Tesla coils, more Mammoth tanks and MiGs. Yeah, they're doing very well with the army construction. They've got 13 ore trucks, very nice, but they didn't have any oil derricks at the end. I owned the oil trade for that game, but my opponent earned 181,000, I earned 147,000, and that's practically without touching that. That's very good. And there we go, got a bit of cash left each. Here's the basics. My opponent was at 50 actions per minute. I was at 36 actions per minute. And there's the scores. 1,266 to my opponent. I got 843. So it was a decisive defeat, although a good battle. I'm going to go to the second game for this post, a second replay for you.
Terminated.
And this was one of the last games I played. Not the very last, but one of the last games. So this is a 1v1 multiplayer game. And we are on Elevation map. I'm using Russia and my opponent's using Germany, so it's like a Patriots war game. World War II, Russia versus Germany. I'm using Russia in red at the bottom left. And I do like this map. I've featured it in a few games recently. There's the forward command post, and there's the oil derrick, and there's the communication centre. It's a really nice feature of this map that you've got these 3 close to each player's base. So it opens up an interesting early game. And they end up being useful for the whole game, these two neutral structures here, because that gives you a brilliant view range, the comm centre, and the forward command post, that allows you to take an expansion without sending an MCV there. You can build base defences, place barracks, and you can defend it without using an MCV. You can free up, you know, one or more for other, you know, other uses. But here we go, my opponent's got 3 rifles protecting the oil derrick, and I've sent my engineer, they've sent their engineer. But I've got 2 rifles, and my opponent defeated them. He's got a veteran. But I decided to target the barrels, and the engineers survived. And this defender will kill my rifleman. Yeah, I've got the veteran because he was almost defeated, almost dead, but I got the engineer, but my opponent still managed the capture in time, so I'm saving my veteran unit. I manage veterans and keep them safe right from the start, right from the very first veterans. I make good use of them. There's my engineer, trying to keep him safe. Sending a couple of rifles back to base. And I thought, right, move forward a bit, and I had the feeling that I'd destroyed a lot of my opponent's rifles, and I thought I might be able to take that, but I didn't want to risk it. If my opponent went War Factory first, which they haven't, they're still on Ore Refinery. Now, I'm not sure, they're still on the second refinery. I'm on my War Factory now. I wonder, maybe something delayed them, but they've placed a pillbox as well. So it's best I didn't try and advance. But yeah, I decided not to go for the oil derrick. I moved back, and I'm moving to take the forward command post, and then the communication centre. They're all essential to me. My opponents captured the forward command post and their oil derrick. So they're ahead of me in the captures. But yeah, all 3 of these are essential to me, I think, on this map. Capturing them, or very much so. They help with view range for guarding the approaches to your base. You can add another couple of units, and it links up a lot of view range. And if you place your expansion here, you get view range over this chunk of the map. Just by placing a rifleman or something here. And capturing the comm centre, obviously. Well, it's a great position, this one. You can defend it. You could maybe use mines here as well. That would be useful. You could see your opponent coming a mile off, react, and order some defenders into position to resist them, and see what damage is done with the mines, and whether it puts them off or not, like it did me in my last game. But we've got 1 oil derrick each. I'm just about to capture the communication centre, and both players have got the forward command post, although neither of us have placed any structures next to them yet. I think it's useful maybe to place, get some barracks here, because in a previous game where I used this map, I actually used them just to this area, and it was attacked early on, and it helped distract and hold up the enemy. So defending these areas, it's like going to make an expansion at one ore field and setting up barracks at another to hold it without mining from it, but you're denying it to the enemy, and it's that kind of thing. So I sometimes like to place barracks there. And I should be making them now, there you go, and I've delayed. So I've been distracted by something. I'm moving these troops, obviously. I've captured the comm centre, and there's a barracks placed. I'm moving the barracks closer. I haven't placed anything here yet. And my opponents left their engineer idle by the comm centre. So now they're done with the engineer, they've just left it. Some players send them, as we know, around the edge of the map on a capture. Some players just do this and forget them, but you don't want to. You want to send them somewhere safe and use them later in game. I've got my engineer inside the APC. Let's have a look at some early army values. I'm at 10,000 army value, my opponent's at 7,000 army value. And I'm moving forward with the expansion. There's my MCV. And I've got a barracks with the forward command post now. My opponent has actually got an expansion there and a base defence. Nice. That's fair enough, because at least they're earning from it. And that's what they've done. They've placed 3 refineries, and what I mentioned in a previous post was if it was worth placing the 3rd refinery here. And what they've done is place the other 2 in the right position, so they've got this mining very well with a bunch of ore trucks. That's very good. And then why aren't they mining from there? Is it regrown? That's bad if it does, because they should have at least one of them here. But their third refinery, they've actually put with the forward command post. That's good. I was wondering about doing that. I've got all my 3 refineries at my home base, and I've placed the 4th one there. So my expansion, I haven't actually set it up as an expansion yet. This has got my 4th refinery. So that's a risk, because there's nothing there to defend it. There's like 3 rifles and a rocket soldier. But I have got these in position locked to search for the enemy. So if it looks like I'm in trouble, I'll at least save the ore truck and transfer some production there. Maybe place a base defense or something. But I've got my initial starting army here to go on a little eco raid. I do often like to attack here first, because if my opponent sets up an expansion here, take it out and it'll like affect their income. I lost my APC, I believe it had the engineer inside, that's amateur. And here we go, I've got my forces, my tanks are arriving, but my opponent has got a strong chunk of infantry. 16,000 army value to me, 14,000 to my opponent, and I'm trying to bring this force in position, and I need a tank to screen them, look, and provide view range. Now my opponent's moved into the perfect position. If I was to attack now, I would probably lose it. Even though I've got the better concave, they've got defences and view range from structures. So I would be a fool to attack there. Now our primary production is here, look. Because of game sense is telling me I need to start protecting my home base properly. I've got a few rifles there, but that's not enough. And I need to protect this as well. There you go, base defences and more barracks. So I'm on the ball when it comes to that. I just need to decide what I'm doing with this. And the timing was perfect. My opponent's moved away, leaving me to just nicely overrun it, and they are sticking to their plans by the looks of it, sticking to their guns. Yes, they've got some fast vehicles, 4 light tanks, 2 rangers, 5, 6 light tanks. That's nice, it's a nice little force. And they're hitting my best expansion. But I've just moved my MCV forward, and I've got a heavy tank on the way, a few heavy tanks already here, but I'm not destroying this. I want to capture it, and there's an engineer, because my first engineer was killed. But this engineer is going to capture this oil derrick, which I've secured, and then I'll be taking that. But there's my MCV, I've got 1 ore truck destroyed, and I'm falling back, and I'm trying to save these 3. But those light tanks, they could run them all down. Why didn't my opponent do that? Look how far they have to go. That's, well, maybe that's fair enough. My opponent has kept his light tanks with his infantry, that's probably wise. But he's overrun this expansion, I had to save what I could. And there's my tanks in a lovely position for screening. That's perfect, and my opponent's backing away by the looks of it with that MCV, so that means no more base defences. So I'm thinking, right, I'm pressing this, I'm pushing it and going for it, and I'm placing base defences to slow my enemy's advance. Look at that, cool. It looks like I've lost my engineer somehow, I didn't even see. Hopefully that happened on screen. And my veteran, I let him down, I saw it too late. There you go, they're losing ore trucks. And there's a flame tower holding them up, but this was 1 building too far. It was a mistake to place it so close. I tried to use it as a distraction and destroy them before they could kill it, but they got through the flame tower on the airfield too quickly. There you go, I've punched through their expansion. There, nicely done. Not expansion, their home base refinery, and there you go. My opponent's called it. But it was not a long game, but it was quite, quite brutal. They fought very well, and that attack here knocked me straight off my best expansion. If you look now, I've got no ore supplies. I'm just lucky that I've got this gem patch regrowing, and it looks like that I've actually got this mining. This is here still at my home base, but these 4 ore trucks, they've got nothing to mine. So I'd have to transfer them back up here and build another refinery quickly. But I'd probably put 1 more on the gem patch just to get some earnings. But I'll go through the graphs and charts, and we'll look at the situation as we get to each one, each tab. Here's the army graph, look at that. That's pretty close and even, and then a large engagement has left my opponent crippled. 1 big smash. But it happens. It happens to me plenty of times. Trust me. It can happen to any player. You just get caught out in the wrong position, wrong units, wrong formation, wrong everything, and it happens. Right, there's the army graph then for you. That shows what happened. There's the earnings graph. Yeah, my opponent did quite well, although it looks like they were struggling towards the end when you should be increasing or at least maintaining the income. That's a shame. But they did increase towards the end. That was fair enough. Now my finishing army, it's a standard sort of army. It looks like 6 heavy tanks, a few flamers, 20 rocket soldiers, and about 84 riflemen. So a basic force. It's 22,000 army value. And I lost 9 structures. My opponent lost 9 structures. And I killed 125 units. My opponent killed 78. I destroyed 39,000 credits worth of my opponent's units and assets. My opponent destroyed 23,000 credits worth of my assets. Support powers, there are none in effect. It was too soon. We're not even at the 10-minute mark quite. Just before 10 minutes. Production, so I'm still building refineries, defences, heavy tanks. But it looks like I've got an engineer on the go. So I was probably thinking about capturing this lot up here, the refinery and the forward command. That's probably what I was thinking about. Economy, I've got an oil derrick left, this one. Hung on to my 3 assets, look, here. And I've got 6 ore trucks left, because I took some losses here from that eco raid. And I earned 63,000 credits. My opponent earned 53,000 credits, so they did well. Did well for cash. I've run out now. You see what I mean? My credit situation isn't good at all. I need another ore truck on this gem patch, and the rest of them to get mining this and build, move this. So I can place, I need to move it about here, the MCV, so I can place a refinery here, and the engineer can capture that, and I can place another refinery here. And, you know, hope that if the enemy didn't fight on, that I could at least finish it. You know, if they did fight on, I should say. So I was lucky that it ended there, because you can see by my cash situation, I've got 1 credit, and my opponent's got nearly 5 grand. So, you know, these games, they can turn against you. This is early game still. But I was at 30 actions per minute. My opponent was at 31 actions per minute. And there's your score, 391 to 235 in my favour. And there's all your stats, graphs and charts for you. And there's those 2 games. I hope you enjoyed them. If you like those 2 replays, give us a sub and a like. Thank you very much for watching. And take good care of yourselves. Until next time, thank you very much again. And for now, goodbye.
Battle control terminated.